Hey friends, I'm Casey. If we haven't met yet, then welcome to my channel. So I talk all things about having a migraine-y brain, an anxious brain, ADHD, and just like life with that, management of that, those kinds of things. But today I'm gonna dive into one of my passions right now, which is reading. I love books, I love reading. I decided to sit you by my bookcase today, and I wanted to specifically highlight some romance books because Valentine's Day is coming quickly, and honestly romance is one of the main genres that I'm really into with reading. You can't actually see my romance shelf. Don't know why it's so low on my bookshelf, so you're mainly seeing like the romantasy and fantasy, some thrillers and stuff like that in the background, but I am mainly a romance reader. And I used to love reading as a kid, but then I totally just like stopped doing it. I think with school I just had so much like assigned reading that, by the way, I don't remember ever actually reading the books assigned to me in school. I don't know how I got through school, period. Crazy. But a couple of years ago I made a New Year's resolution where I was like, I'm gonna read one book a month this year, so 12 books total. And I was already doing some audiobooks at the time, so I'm like, okay, at least half of them need to be physical books, but it's okay if I do like 6 audiobooks, 6 physical books. Anyway, I was pretty slow getting the ball rolling on that goal. I think I started really getting invested in like, okay, let's read these things in March or April. And I ended up reading over 150 books that year. So like we kicked it off. So today I'm gonna do top 3 romance books, and then we'll do some special mentions at the end. Books that really make me feel seen with my diagnoses and my journey with mental health and migraine health. And I think I'm gonna do like a countdown. So the first one we talk about will be number 3, and this is absolutely in order actually. Like the top one is the top one for me, and number 3 is absolutely the lowest tier for me. So let's jump into it, starting with number 3. So I'm gonna move to the side so that I can have the image of the book on the screen, because like I said, I do audiobooks, and 2 of these I believe I did through an audiobook. I own the last one, but I'm gonna have to show an image on the screen here. So the first one is Better Late Than Never, or wait, that's not what it's called. It's Better Hate Than Never by Chloe Leese, I think. Am I right about that? I don't have the information in front of me. If you see me looking down, my notes are down there. So this one, the other 2 you're gonna see, I feel like a strong emotional bond with these books, and this one I don't really have that feeling. But I do feel like this book was made for me. It's some sort of Shakespeare retelling, and basically what I really enjoyed about this book was that the main female character has ADHD and the main male character has chronic migraine. And I'm like, hello, this is incredible. This is like written for me. So it's a romance, of course, like all of these books are. And their dynamic, their relationship progression throughout the book is cute and everything, but I just really resonated with kind of the health struggles. And the reason I don't feel as an emotionally deep of a bond with this book is because I wish that the book really delved more into these characters' health journeys and like the things that they were facing and how they're coping with them and how they manage those things in real life. And I don't feel like I got enough of that in this book, but I do still really appreciate that there was representation of both of my like primary health concerns in this book, like specifically called out. So Christopher is the male lead, and he's the one with chronic migraine, and his struggle with migraine, so relatable. So he tries to brush it under the rug. He like makes excuses that like he had to dip out of an event and it was because of migraine, but he acts like he's just like tired or whatever. So like he is dealing with a lot of internalized shame around migraine, and I really resonate with that. And I remember that there was this really sweet caretaking scene where he kind of opens up to the female lead and like has a really significant migraine attack, and there's like a caretaking scene where like he's going through it and she's supporting him through it. And that was really sweet and wholesome to me. And then the female lead, Kate, with ADHD, I don't know if I related to her as strongly. Like I definitely get like the chaos and everything of the ADHD personality, but she was just a wildfire. Like she was a tornado, and she was really fun. She was a fun character. I don't feel like they delved as much into how ADHD was impacting her life, but like there were some cute little moments like that kind of were like symptoms of her ADHD, like the disorganization that comes with that, and like just having a hard time keeping like your schedule in order. So she's a photographer, I believe. I don't remember the details. I read this quite a while ago, but she was a photographer and she had scheduled a shoot with a company, and she arrived the entire wrong day. Like she was on time, but she was like a day early, and she was pissed off because she thought that she was getting like pranked by the male lead essentially, because it was the company he works for, and like she was so mad about it, just to find out later that she arrived a day early, and like it was a major misunderstanding. So it was like cute or whatever. I understood and I related to it. And I remember there was another scene where she's just like overtaken by emotions because I think she did something with like, not crime journal, like news journal photography, something with like international issues. And I don't remember if there was like a war or there was like something really devastating that happened, but she's like watching news and she's just like, oh, like so heavily emotionally invested and like just feeling it so strongly. And I forget, I believe this is something called like justice sensitivity or something that is related to not migraine, I keep saying migraine, but related to ADHD, and like just the way that she was so passionate about the things that she was consuming, like it just related to me. Anyway, I won't harp anymore about number 3, let's move on. So number 2 is Happy Place by Emily Henry. I know, I'm so basic, but this one didn't actually have a specific like diagnosis that I really related with or anything, but like just the main female lead, is her name Charlotte? Harriet. It was some old-fashioned name. I was so close. So Harriet is just a very, 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 very relatable character to me. I just realized I didn't tell you what the first book was about. So I have a blurb over here. Katerina, Wilma, and Christopher, my eyes are not good enough for that, Petruchio, shared backyards as kids, but as adults, they won't even share the same hemisphere. And she lives like in Australia or something at the beginning. And anyway, that is until Kate makes a rare visit home and their fiery animosity rekindles into a raging inferno. Despite friends and family pleas for peace, Christopher's unconvinced Kate would willingly douse the flames of their enmity. When a drunken Kate confesses she's only been hostile because she thought he hated her, Christopher vows to make peace with Kate once and for all. I won't go ahead and read the rest, but yeah, essentially it was like a misunderstanding, animosity to lovers, childhood friends maybe to enemies to lovers, I don't know. Okay, back up to Happy Place. Okay, so to summarize the blurb here, essentially there's this friend group that includes Harriet and Wynne, and they go to this main like cottage for a vacation, I think every single year, where they like enjoy a week as a vacation as a friend group together. And Harriet and Wynne are this couple that have been together for so many years, and they're like the perfect couple, but then they break up and they don't tell their friend group. So then their vacation comes up within a few months of them breaking up, and both of them decide to just like fake it and act like they're still together just to keep the peace. Of course, shenanigans ensue, and eventually it's a second chance romance and they get back together. That's like, I guess a spoiler, but that's kind of how all romances are. They're happily ever after. And to some degree, one of the things I really liked about this is that it was dealing with like a very long-term relationship. So if you don't know me, I have a fiance that I'm high school sweethearts with, and we have been together. It has almost been 13 years. So I really appreciated that, like, oh, sorry, my feet are like going numb. So I really appreciated like that familiarity and the way that a couple, like their lives kind of, I don't know, not streamline into another, but just like that very deep running bond between two characters that have been in a long-term couple, long-term partnership. I don't know. Obviously my fiance and I have not broken up. So I couldn't really relate to that aspect of it, but just like those deep ties with one another. I was like, I get it. I see that. But I really related to the main female lead, Harriet. She is extremely conflict avoidant, which is like the reason that they've run into this mess where she's like not wanting to tell their friends that they've broken up. She's very conflict avoidant. She's a people pleaser. She worries, and like, sorry if I'm like low now. I was trying to sit a little higher so you could see my sacred Sarah J mask shelf a little bit. So I have, sorry, we're off topic for a second. I have my ACOTAR series up here. I have my Crescent City that I haven't read yet. And then I have all of my Throne of Glass, which I just recently finished. And I'm mourning the loss of that world. I'm mourning it, but I'll bring you a little lower. Is that better? I think that's better. But yes, I very much related to Harriet. She's perfectionist, people pleaser, conflict avoidant, and part of her storyline is just like her realizing that she has ended up in a life that she does not find any joy in. She's just like doing the things that everyone else kind of expects her to do, and she just like falls into it and realizes this isn't what she wants. So it's kind of about refinding her place and like what her happy place is and finding her joy, and it just really felt very relatable to see her struggling with those things. And beyond like the romance and just like the struggles that Harriet was facing, there were a lot of cute little moments in the book that really stood out to me. Like there was this concept I think it was towards the end, where Harriet kind of describes this way to kind of manage expectations on the trip. So she encourages her entire friend group to pick one thing that if this thing happens over the course of their week vacation, they're going to consider it a win. Like they're going to be pleased and satisfied, because I don't know, it's something that really stuck out to me, because we all kind of have this tendency to overhype things and then get disappointed by them, because inevitably it'll never reach those standards that we kind of expect. So finding a more like simplistic way to look at things like that, so that you like, I don't know I don't know if I'm saying this well, but yeah, other than like dissecting every little aspect of like a holiday or a trip or something like that, being able to just be like, if this thing happens, then this was a win. And I don't know, I feel like I found that to be really inspiring. It's something I'm trying to think about in, you know, my life whenever things are coming up for me too. I just like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to my actually, let's not go to my top favorite yet. Let's do some honorable mentions. So first I want to shout out the Bergman Brothers series. This is by Chloe Leese, I believe. I think I've been saying the authors. And this is a series that centers around, I think, 7 siblings, I think mostly brothers, that are Swedish American, and all romance books. And every single one has some sort of amazing representation, whether that's disability, chronic pain, neurodivergence. Like they all kind of have this really, I don't know, wonderful aspect of representation, and I find them very sweet. I'm actually in the middle of the series. I don't know why I stopped, but I've been listening to them on audio through my library app, and I still have, I don't know, I think 3 or 4 of them to go, but I've enjoyed all of them so far. I don't know why I stopped. I found something online that shows what representation is in each book, because I think it's probably best to read them all in order, but from what I remember, there's not like an overarching plot. Like I think they're interconnected standalones where you can pick out whatever you want from the books. I think, I don't know, I could be wrong. Another one, I want to own these all eventually one day, but another special mention is the Brown Sisters trilogy. This one's so fun. There's not a ton of, it's not like the Bergman brothers. So like those 7 books, there's representation in every single book. Now in the Brown Sisters, the first book was the most relatable to me. These are by Talia Hibbert. And in Get a Life, Chloe Brown, the main female lead is dealing with chronic pain and like a myriad of chronic conditions. So she was extremely relatable, the things that she was struggling with. Just like I felt very seen with the things she was mentioning. Now the second book, I don't remember exactly what representation is in there. Probably, if I'm remembering correctly, I loved all of these, but like I don't remember exactly what was going on with the characters behind the scenes beyond like the romance and how they got together. I think there was depression, maybe panic attacks were represented as well. But then the third book was really sweet because there was very strong neurodiverse representation that I was so excited by. I was eating it up. The last one I'll shout out, I forgot to grab this off my shelf. This one actually, 7 Days in June. This one has migraine representation, and I actually started it as an audiobook, I think in 2021. So that's about how long I've been reading, probably since 2021. I started as an audiobook, and immediately I was just like, this is insane. Like, I think I got like maybe 10% through, and I was like, I need to buy it. I'm stopping this audiobook and I'm buying this book and I'm gonna read it physically. But then I was too scared. I was too scared to pick it up because like, I feel like it's gonna emotionally wreck me, just based on the things that I had seen with the migraine representation so far. So I do recommend this and I do want to read it, but I also still have this like quirky thing, and I think it's the reason I haven't picked it up in the last couple of years. For some reason, I'm like, I have to read it in June. I don't know why. I mean, I know why. It's because it said that, but like, I don't need to do that. But my brain is saying like, you need to read in June. But then I think I was about to pick it up last year, but I was in the middle of a different book. I don't remember, but I think it was like June had just passed. I'm like, well, now I can't read it. I don't know. So I will read this soon and let you know how the migraine rep was, but I should shout this out as a special mention. Okay, let's get to the last one. My top favorite book, the one that is a romance novel that made me feel so seen. And that is Yours Truly by Abby Jimenez. This is part of, I think maybe it's not a trilogy. I think there's only 3 books out right now. I don't know if it's gonna be continuing. I have read all 3. Do I own all 3? Okay, weirdly enough, I don't think I own the first one, but I don't know. Oh, and I could actually cry thinking about this book. I need to reread it. So brief intro into this world. Essentially, we're kind of following these characters that work in healthcare, which is relatable. I'm a dietitian nutritionist, so I love to see it. I mean, this is a hospital setting, so a little different, but still, like, very fun to follow these characters. And I don't know, all of the books are so good, but this is the one that feels like it was written for me. It was just emotionally devastating. So we have Brianna and Jacob, and they are both doctors, and they get off to a really rocky start because Brianna is, I don't know if I'm saying Bree. Does she go by Bree? I feel like she goes by Brie. Am I making that up? Nope, she doesn't. I just flipped towards the end and it's Brianna. So anyway, she is kind of up for this promotion at work, basically. But then this new guy comes and she's like, he's here to just take my place and like take the promotion. And then like there's an encounter that was a major miscommunication and there's a lot of animosity right off the bat. Jacob, the male lead, he is an intensely anxious person, like very anxious. He has severe anxiety, panic disorders, panic attacks. I mean, he's got a lot going on. He did not come to steal her job and he feels terrible about the way that things took off as they got to know each other. And both of them are dealing with like very intense things with their own personal lives and families behind the scenes. But he feels so bad and he wants to, he wants to amend for kind of the way that they got off on the wrong foot. And the way he does it is writing her a letter. He wrote her a letter because he just felt too anxious to like approach her in person, but he really wanted to make sure he communicated with her. And I just like, that makes me feel so seen, because he feels that he's a better communicator through written word, which is something I relate with. I often say that I am chaotic verbally, but if I write things down, it'll make a lot more sense. So I feel like that's kind of the direction he came from, but it's just like so cute and sweet. Their letters, they start passing notes to each other basically at work, and like the way they get closer and oh my God, their romance is adorable. Like I get butterflies thinking about it. He is the sweetest. She is so perfectly matched for him. It's amazing. So I love Jacob. He is the male love interest and he's such a sweetie. He's anxious and honestly he's just like so me. And I love how Brianna like meets him where he is. She doesn't make him feel like less than for kind of the struggles that he's going through emotionally and like mentally. She doesn't judge him for it. She just tries to accommodate and like soothe him as she's able to. She basically supports him without trying to fix him, which like gives me full body like goosebumps just thinking about that, because like that just is what someone like Jacob or myself wants. Like that's what we crave. We want to be seen and understood and supported, but like you don't need to fix us. And I think all of the characters in this series have pets. He has a sweet I think a rescue dog that has 3 legs and is just like really adorable. I love the dogs. Yeah, he's just very me. Like I know he like looks up restaurants and stuff before he goes to them to like know what to expect. What's the layout like? What's the vibe? What's the menu? What's he gonna order? Like he'll kind of like try to preliminarily lay out the scene so that he knows what he's getting into. Like there was this really cute scene where he was gonna show up somewhere where the female lead was, and just I think without even prompting, she got up and went out to like take a picture of the driveway so he would know where to park. And she's like rolling her eyes about it, like it's just a weird thing, but like she just does it, and it's like just so loving, the dynamic, because she's just trying to meet him where he is. And I love to see it, and I could cry thinking about it, and I need to reread it and like just annotate this thing up, because there's so many quotes that I know I would want to highlight, so many things I'd want to tab. If you've read any of those, let me know what you thought about them, or if there's anything that you really think I should read. As someone that's very anxious, migraine-y, ADHD person, like those kinds of things, I really love seeing representation. And there are more books that I have read that do have a sense of representation or things that make me feel really seen that I didn't include, and that's probably because they were a different genre. They're not straight up a romance. But if you did want some of those ideas, I will have a link in the description where you can see kind of my suggestions on where to get started for like representation, just books that I'm obsessed with, stuff like that. So check that out. Okay, see you next time, babes.